Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Reasonably Effective podcast. I'm Ten Types, joined by Uncommon Fossil, and today we have to talk about Pokemon TCG Live, right? Uncommon Fossil.
No. Yeah, I think we do. Yeah, I think we do. This week, it's live went down for a couple hours just randomly in the middle of the week. So it was just another reminder to me that live leaves much to be desired, and just what are we to make of live, and what's the future there is kind of what's been on my mind lately.
Yeah, and when you say it went down without, like, they sometimes take it down without, like, I don't know, maybe they warn us, but it seems like they don't always warn us. They, like, take stuff down, but this was like it crashed. Like, it wasn't working, not like, oh, they're
Right.
updating it.
Yeah, this wasn't an upgrade, and honestly, when it goes down 8 hours at a time, every time they put new cards in, that's not a good sign either. But this time it was unexpected, and they said, "Hey, we're trying to figure out what it is." There was a notification in the forums, and this one time, I think it wasn't just live. I think Unite also went down, so maybe servers. I don't know what happened,
Yeah,
but
I mean,
again,
stuff happens, and I get it, but
right,
um, at the end of the day, if stuff just keeps happening, that's not a good sign. Bad stuff.
right, correct. And live just it's been kind of a train wreck since it began, right? From the day they announced it, which got hype, and they got even content creators talking about how great it was going to be because they kind of leaked information to them and so that they could get the word out. And then they had to, like, a month later, say, "Oh wait, we're not ready to do it yet, so don't be too excited." And it just kept just being, they released the beta before it was anything that should have been, anybody should have seen it, and it's just been constant problems, and it still is not where it should be. I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, and now actually, before I get into things, I want to address. I believe For the Win made a video discussing live recently. This we had this idea before.
Yeah.
We saw that video, but admittedly, I didn't like watch it. I kind of like
Hmm.
clicked on it, muted it, and like skimmed through it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's like separate. I think you talked about like visuals, and
Okay.
the visuals with live are like kind of weird because the joke is they like always update them and they don't really improve them. They
Yeah.
just like make lateral moves, uh, like always. And so, but I think the visuals are okay. They're not like the greatest. They could be better. Um, and like customization, it's kind of weird, but it's okay, I think.
I think the visualizations are okay. I mean, I remember early on, as I still see, they still have the hexagon thing going on, but it's okay, right? At one point, it was basically just hexagons. But yeah, like with the latest update now on the coin toss, you get a little special effect, and stars shoot out when you do the coin toss. It's like, do we really need this?
Yeah.
Especially when things like you play um, Ultra Ball to start on turn one, and it won't let me grab Squawkabilly EX, and I basically lose the game, and things like that just happen.
Yeah.
You get those random glitches all the time. So
Yeah. You know what they say, though. Hexagons are bestigons, right? So,
there we go. And
um,
I'm looking here on the screen here. The play button is like has all these little glistening effects going around it nonstop and stuff. And again, it's just it's whatever. It's not bad necessarily, but get the game to work at this point.
yeah, like, yeah, as you said, there's like the searching glitch, which is arguably the biggest glitch.
Outside of the not logging in glitch, right?
Yeah, well, I could say it
Assuming,
is arguably a bigger glitch. It affects more people. I
yes,
think pretty much everyone I've talked to, it's like affected at least like once. Um,
every live user has not been able to draw cards at times. I think,
yeah,
yes.
or search. Yeah, so it's
Search for something. Yeah.
yeah, and that's like, I mean, it's weird, and it's been in the game I think the whole time, and I don't think it's really improved. I think it has to do with some like disconnecting, I'm assuming, but it's still
Maybe.
like an issue, right? But the live has to fix.
Yeah, and maybe if it is a disconnecting issue, live is I don't know fully. Obviously, this whole login issue, but part of it is live is very resource intensive. If your internet is at all glitchy, it causes massive problems. And I think it really wants high level of hardware specs. Like, because I think from the comments, if you get rid of your decks, most of your saved decks, it loads more often. But it shouldn't be taking that long to like load up the decks, right? To load live up. And if you have too many decks and your computer's too slow, it says, nope, sorry, I'm not going to load today. So it's just, it shouldn't. It was an issue with PTC Geo too. Like, I would play a graphic intensive game where there's stuff going all over the screen, and maybe my computer would heat up a little, but not even that much. But then I play a game of PTC Geo, and my computer would be like 10 times hotter. And the same thing is with live. Why it shouldn't be that resource intensive to play a game of Pokemon.
Yeah, I know. I think I've said so there are some Pokemon like simulators or something or other clients, stuff like the
Hmm.
PTG Simulator, which we're gonna talk
Right,
about. And I've kind of joked and said that they're glorified versions of like PowerPoint or something. So
right.
like they shouldn't be like that hard. But so is live, right? Like live shouldn't be.
Yeah,
It's just like some images moving around. Sure there's stuff going on, but like what's it doing? Like why is it struggling? Like does my
yeah.
like phone heat up so much and stuff like that?
Right, Trace. And also now, I think you had it today. We were talking before the podcast started when they give the notification at the start of the game, or they have the notification now saying we fixed the issue. I think, but if you when that notification when it's trying to load, it gives the notification. If you don't click OK, it just kind of my computer just heats up, and all of a sudden I turn around. It's like, what's that noise? Oh, it's my fan like going full blast, trying to keep my computer from melting because live is just going nuts.
Yeah, and I don't know like I know we don't really need to talk about the glitches too much, but at the end of the
No,
day, they are
no.
arguably the biggest issue. And they
Yeah,
obviously need to get fixed. And
right.
they're obviously not getting fixed as well.
Right. I mean, yeah, I think the bigger thing to me is what's the future of live? What's it going to be? Because when live first came out, people were excited about the idea of, oh, okay, they'll get issues fixed faster than before under whatever the consulting group was, which I'm blanking on.
Direwolf previously, or
Yeah, Direwolf,
yeah,
I think, yeah. And obviously there are glitches there too, um, and it's going to happen. So, but the other thing was, PTCGO was an old game. It had been around a while, and it wasn't up to the standards of other games. And at this point, Live's been out quite a while now, and it's still less functional than PTCGO was. And the idea was we want a better game than PTCGO, right? Because I think we need to talk about some of the other games at some point, and the other games are just better online experiences than Pokemon.
yeah. And one thing about PTCGO, I think so. I think a lot of people, and I'm interested in hearing it down in the comment section. And I might post a
Hmm.
poll about this, but whether you, the listener, played well, one if you play on live, but presumably a lot of you do, but if you played on PCGO, if you're like around for that,
Hmm.
because if a lot of people aren't and they just assume it's like good, because like live is so bad, so surely PCGO must have been good. PCGO was not that good. I think most people agree it's better than live, right? You would agree with that?
Yeah. Well, um, Live
Maybe,
does
right?
have certain features better. I mean, I will say,
Yeah,
but
definitely.
it had other game modes, and it didn't have problems on a regular basis, right? Those are the biggest things to it.
Yeah, so P2GGO was not great though. It was,
No.
as you said, it was very like old and outdated. Um, and the big
Yeah.
issue was that it was, and also like it didn't run super well as it got hot. And it was just old and outdated and needed to get
Yeah.
scrapped and then remade. Which is kind of weird that Live also seems to be old and outdated and needs to get scrapped, but
Yeah, I mean, part of my thought was PTGO had been around. I don't know, was it 10 years or something? And obviously they keep adding mechanics and new cards, and it was like all these patches on top of patches, and it probably like spaghetti code at that point. So I figured a new client with Live would be a good start. But I'm wondering if they didn't make just some basic design flaws with Live.
yeah,
And
because a lot of people are saying like, oh, they didn't like try that much with Live. But even if they didn't try, it should be better than this. I mean, if they didn't try much, right? And I
yeah,
also don't want to discredit the people who made it, but at the end of the day, it's not that like I'm not saying I could do something better because I couldn't. Um,
right.
but even that, maybe I could, right? Like so, um, what do you want to talk about now? I think we should talk about this PCG simulator, um,
Okay.
and then Twin Leaf as well. So. The PTC Simulator, one, I don't like the name. I feel like it's very generic. I think I don't love Live. I didn't like PTCGO. I don't really like PTCG Live. Um,
No,
and
because if you Google search like PCG Live, sometimes obviously you get live gameplay too, right? It's very generic in a sense, that name.
yeah. So anyway, I don't love the Pokemon TCG Simulator name. I do hope that it gets changed. Um, but anyway, that doesn't really
Yeah.
matter. Um, so that's made by Xiao Long, who is I don't know, they made it. And
Right,
it's a
along with other people, correct? As far as
no, I think there was
primarily him.
yeah, I think
Okay.
it was developed by one person. There was someone else. I think Araloo. I don't know if that's how you
Okay.
say the name, but or Araloo, and they I think tested. I think they're like
Okay.
friends, but I don't think they made it.
Had okay, basically one person. It was like what, 3 months or something like that
I
of
think it was
time.
3 months. So we're going to talk about Twin Leaf, and Twin Leaf was like announced. The PTCG Simulator was not like announced; it just kind of came out
Right.
when it was ready, which is
Yeah.
probably good, right? Versus like
Right. Well, Twin Leaf, it took Pokemon's making the announcement and not getting a product out quickly, and they're upping the ante there.
I don't think not quite yet. I think it was what was it
No.
like? How many months was it for live?
Uh,
That
I
was
don't know. It
like
might have been 3 or 4, maybe.
three
I
or
don't
four. I
remember.
thought it was more than that. I thought it was
Well,
like
don't forget, it was a very beta. It was very limited, right? That
yeah. Oh yeah, they
one
had that
country
weird
for a
limited
while,
beta
and
that
then
was
they kept adding like it was a country or two every month or something.
yeah. That was kind of strange. So maybe Twin Leaf has
I'm not
taken more
sure.
than anyway. So the PTG Simulator did not it just kind of came out, and what it does
Yep.
is it does not have automated actions, which is a very important aspect, and something that it
Yes.
doesn't have. But aside from that, it doesn't have a ladder. It's just a way to play the game. It's moderately similar to playing in person with cards, except it's easier
Right.
than that, and obviously you can play with people who you aren't physically with. So
Hmm.
it's good. It's something that I've ran some tournaments on. It's really fun.
Yeah.
It's certainly not for everyone, but I think it has potential if it like keeps growing and advancing. Then it can become something really great, and I think it's something really cool we've seen so far. And in the right way to do something in the sense that
Hmm.
it like works and it receives updates. And it's had positive feedback, and people like it, and it's just good.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, and it came out at this point. I think it was probably one person for 3 months, and then it's been out less than 2 months, right? And had a lot of updates and a lot of improvements, both for stability and added features over that time frame. And there's good announcements about what they're doing and all that too, which Pokemon doesn't like to communicate very well.
Yeah. So, like as you said, there was like a lot of waiting period between announcements and like stuff happening, and then with Twin Leaf, I want to talk about Twin
Yeah.
Leaf.
Hmm.
Twin Leaf, yeah, that did not, as you said, Twin Leaf has not come out.
Right, and that's what it's been at least 6 months, I think.
Yeah, I think it's been around Yeah, I guess it's a little more than 6 months. Or around that. So,
And it got a lot of hype because it was a big name person
yeah,
announced the
yeah,
idea.
yeah. DanTDM, arguably the greatest YouTuber, probably not the greatest YouTuber ever, but up there. And
A
so,
major player, certainly.
yeah. Did he like retire? I don't know. I don't think he did. Been this big like. So okay. So for those of you who don't know, Uncommon Fossil is my father. I think a lot of people know that, but not everyone does. And so we have
Yeah.
a distinct generational difference. So you did
Yes.
not grow up watching YouTube, but
No.
so yeah, I actually didn't grow up watching DanTDM, but DanTDM is obviously a big YouTuber, um, not known for the Pokemon TCG. Uh,
But that's how he started out with Pokemon,
I
right?
think yes. So it's a little. I don't know all the details, but I believe he was friends with PTCG Radio, or the creator of that channel, Wasi or Ross. Um,
Hmm.
and they're like friends. I don't know how close they were friends. I'm sure Wasi would want to oversell that, as that gives him more credibility. But I think he said they were like they weren't like close friends, but they were kind of
Okay.
friends. And so
Hmm.
they did like Pokemon TCG stuff together. And then they might have started YouTubes at similar times. Obviously, PTG Radio has seen a lot of success within the community, the
Yeah.
Pokemon TCG community. But his channel is it's kind of news announcement-y. But Dan TDM
Right.
obviously did like Minecraft stuff. So but then he decided to make this client call or simulator called Twinleaf or twinleaf.gg. There's a website. I think it still works. Um, and that's about it, right?
Right. And there's like a Twitter or X page that kind of it's kind of just is like coming soon is about the amount of information that's out, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah. And then there's the devs, and it becomes confusing. So there's DanTDM,
Right.
who has nothing to gain from it, right? He has like everything, and so and not everything, but he has a lot of stuff and a lot of money and fame,
Right.
and so he doesn't have necessarily a lot to gain from it. Not that he doesn't, and not that he doesn't care, but he hasn't said anything about it since it came out. So, or that's not
Right.
true. He hasn't said a lot about it since it came out, or since it was revealed.
Right.
And then there's some other people, and then there's the episode, or I don't remember the actual name, but they go by the episode, online, and they are the just they might be the only developer. It's a little
Okay.
confusing because there's the one developer, right, and they left on presumably not great terms, not like the worst,
Yeah, they
but
said some stuff that, ooh, yeah, it made the future seem cloudy. Whether how accurate that was, I don't know.
yeah. And then so then there's like one dev who is I don't want to say this in a bad way, and I don't mean it in a bad way, but they have the most to gain because they have the least like I don't know if I'd say seeing the least success in the community, but they haven't like they're not like a quote big name person in the community, and so
Hmm.
they they're very committed to this, and they it's not like they're honestly being like it's not like they have other stuff that they're working on instead of this, so they're committed to it.
Yeah.
But then like the other people look it appears aren't as committed, or don't have as much reason to be. So yeah, that's Twin Leaf.
Yeah, and I think that from an interview I heard, there's was kind of this two-tier idea. First, releasing it kind of what PTC is a simulator, which is what PTCG Simulator does, for like kind of for testing and for help for teaching, and then more of a client that's more automated for general play as a second step.
Yeah. I will say that the simulator, the PTG simulator, does work decently well for regular play.
Hmm.
It works as well as I'd say it works slightly better than playing in person for like newer
Hmm.
players, but not as well as live, right? You can obviously like make mistakes.
Correct. You can make mistakes, but if you're looking to coach someone, it certainly might be a better way to do it. Also, like you can't in live, if you wanted to coach, you can't turn off the timer in friends matches like you could in PTZ. If you want to coach someone, you want to be able to, even if you just want to play casual with your friends, you might just want to stop the game for a minute and chat about what you had for lunch if you want, right? or
Yeah,
or have a question and say, "Hey, we're play testing. I've got this in my hand, and we're here at the game. Just work through all your plays, right? For a couple minutes is a nice thing to be able to do." So, again, PTC Simulator does all that, which
yeah.
which
And
is
there's
very
an
nice.
undo button that was recently added, which is super cool.
Hmm.
Which means you can like make plays and then undo them, and you can undo as much as you want. So that could be
Yeah.
useful. I don't know if there's a redo button. I think someone
Uh,
complained that they kept like they accidentally hit undo, and
Oh, and they
so
lost. Yeah,
uh,
what they had done, the game got
um,
messed. Yeah.
I don't know if that actually changed anything, but anyway, so the speech to
Yeah.
simulator is cool. As you said, there's a two like the like the lower level client, like the weaker the simulator, and then like the client,
Yeah.
and the client supposed to come after. But the only thing we've
Hmm.
heard about is the client. We haven't heard anything about like the simulator. So and it appears that the client is kind of weird. It's very hard to follow. The client might be done.
Oh, yeah.
But it's just not being like published or shown to anyone. Um, which seems like
Well,
the exact opposite of what you want to
what you
do.
want.
Um,
Yeah. Now, the person that left with their little what they said, did raise legal concerns, right? And obviously,
but they're also like
coming
the
at
only ones
so
talking they
no,
seem
I
to
get
have
it.
created like Twin Leaf seems to have like conjured up their own like enemies. Like no one else is
Yeah,
like, oh, what about legal stuff? It's not like people are looking at the simulator and being like, the PTC simulator and being like, what about legal stuff, or TCG One
right.
or um, Untap, or Tabletop Simulator, which are all similar things, um, which have all been
Yeah,
fine. And so, I don't know. I feel like they're being scared of issues that
they
aren't
could
really
be.
there.
And because of DanTDM, it did get more attention, right? So that potentially raises a
But I
target.
feel
But
like Pokemon would
I
like that's the exact opposite thing that like Pokemon that would mean that Pokemon wouldn't want to go after Dan TDM because like that's a bad look for them.
yeah,
Versus
that could
going
be.
after like I don't know if it's not like a good look going after
It,
like TCG one,
yeah.
but
And I don't, and we'll get, and obviously we want to get back to live real soon because a part of it is what's their attitude towards live. They can't like the executives at Pokemon. These are very successful people. I gotta assume, right? They're running a huge franchise that just basically they're printing money, right? is they
Yeah.
print those cards. It's like better than printing money, basically, right?
Yeah.
And video games and all that. So they can't be happy about. They have to know it's not a good quality game, or at least they don't probably ever touch the game. Pokemon Live, right? I don't know. At least most of them probably don't. But they have to hear it's not good, and they can't like be having knowing that people are saying a product they're putting out is bad, right? So
Yeah, like
I'm not
really, well,
sure.
I don't know. I mean, they do that with like the video games as well, but like the video games are obviously much better than
Yeah,
live as well. People don't necessarily love them, but as you said, they're just like printing money, so they can like they could literally like print like horrible cards, and people would
right,
still and they'd still make a ton of money. I mean, I mean, at the end of the day, I don't necessarily like what they're doing with live, but I mean, they're making money not off of live, but everything else, and so they're not really
right.
worried about it.
Yeah, I mean, part of, and I want to talk about live in the monetization of live as part of it. Was one of the things I had mentioned because what's Pokemon's incentive with live, right? We were hoping for a good product, but now it seems like they just did it to cut costs, and they don't. And I think they're trying to make a product comparable to PTC Go, which wasn't really, which was fine, but just marginally fine, and but just doing it for cheaper, which isn't a good future, right? I mean, there right now there's no incentive financially. They're a business. Why would they put more resources into live? It doesn't unless you can say, hey, because there's this digital code card in a pack, people pay a nickel more a pack, right? And that's about
Which
all they could get, right?
yeah, which I isn't true, right? Like,
They don't even get a nickel.
well, I mean, I don't think that like people pay more for the code cards, right? I think most people
I don't think they
just like
do.
yeah. So
And the code cards get resold online, so someone makes some money off of them, but Pokemon doesn't get any of that money. And so there's no financial incentive, right? There's zero monetization, whereas basically all the other digital TCGs, which are a lot better than live, the card game might not be better than Pokemon, but the digital client's better than live. Part of it is they're making money. Live is just spending money. I don't think it's really getting more players into the game. I guess that's the other thing. It's like free. It's
I think it
advertising to
kind
get
of
players in.
is. I think there are certainly people who like. So you said you had some numbers to me. So I want to hear these
Yeah,
numbers.
yeah. So just looking at so this was an article from September 23. So about
Wait,
a card
September
game.
2023 or September
Yeah,
23rd?
September of 2023. Sorry,
Okay.
last September from where we're recording. So Marvel Snap just broke $100 million in revenue. I don't know if that might be lifetime. I'm not sure. Obviously, that one's it made it the highest earning TCG,
It's not a
and that's
TCG
obviously
though.
well,
Or it's
it's
CCG.
called a TC. You can look. Yes, you can call them collectible card games instead, but they're still referred to by TCGs in most places.
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
So if you want to think of it as a collectible card game, that's fine, right? So that's the biggest. The number two one is Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel and
Is
Master
that the current one?
Link. Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Okay. I mean, yeah,
they've
it makes
got
sense that it would be.
55 million.
Okay,
So
that's a bunch.
uh, yeah, a big drop off though. Obviously, obviously Marble on Snap is mobile focused, which they wanted to do that with Live, and I think that's a problem too. I don't know if we're going to discuss that or not with time. But then third is Magic the Arena is 20 million, which is obviously you and I would take that if someone gave us that, but that's a big drop off from
Yeah,
100
maybe you
million.
would take that, but YouTube
Not for
money
you.
coming in eventually sometime. I like, No, yeah, obviously that's
You're right. And I saw an article at one point that said that the average arena player spends more money than the average IRL player on
average Magic IRL player.
Magic. Magic the Gathering player spends less than the average arena player, which is surprising, but I think that seemed reliable, that article. And then Hearthstone is at 19 million, just about the same.
Okay.
Um, it-
So, and is that it, or is there anything else on the list?
those were the numbers. Now, the other thing in
And
terms
Pokemon
of
TCG
looking at
Live 0.
zero, correct. Now I was looking at the Pokemon page. They do have a whole section with that agreement about that when you set up your Play Pokemon account about microtransactions and digital stuff in games, which I don't know that even the video game stuff they don't actually do microtransactions, do they?
The Pokemon video games?
Yeah,
I mean, they have
in game.
DLC. I
Right,
don't know.
but you don't.
I guess
It's
it's
not
not.
in game, so I'm not sure.
But
But
you pay for
anyway,
the game, and
you
then you
do.
pay. Like, you definitely pay money, and the money goes straight to Pokemon or whatever. So
Yeah, and I'm not sure with other things like Unite if there's things you can pay for.
I'd
I
assume there
haven't.
are. There's currency, and I don't play Unite,
Yeah.
but I assume so.
Hmm.
I feel like so. So you said you wanted to talk about what do you think microtransactions are good? So do you think they're what do you want microtransactions in life?
I think they're probably, if we want live to be a full a good game with multiple formats and stuff, something that's better than PTCGO was, and right now they're struggling to get there. I think they need to have a financial incentive to do it. And I think microtransactions are necessary for that.
Yeah,
Um,
I feel like the thing I'm worried about is like it's still only like they're not gonna make a ton of money off of it. I don't think. Maybe they could, but to me that seems a little unlikely. And so if they're just earning like a little money, then
but if
why
they
would
can
they
break
care, right?
even, right?
Well, yeah, but like
I-
I don't know.
So
I don't know
it's
what it's like to be like a big business. But yeah.
right, and unlike these other, because here's these other online games, just real quick. This is from Google Play Stats. So Legends of Runeterra has the highest rating, to 4.6 out of 5, and it's downloaded by over 10 million people.
That's good.
Yu-Gi-Oh, yeah, and this is just Google Play. So Yu-Gi-Oh Master Duel is 4.5 rating and 5 million.
Hmm.
Marvel Snap, the highest grossing, is 4.4 rating, 10 million. So Arenas, a 4.2 rating, dropping off a little bit, 5 million. So the lower side there. Hearthstone, 4.1 rating, 50 million. So a lot more people. I think that's been around the longest, though, of these, I
Yeah,
believe.
that sounds right. I know Magic
And
and Yu-Gi-Oh have like had different ones.
right, because Arena is the current one, which is kind of like PTCGO or Live. They had online, which was it actually you could actually turn your digital cards into IRL cards. There was a way to do that even. So it was, but you had to pay to play the game there. So it was a very different system.
Oh yeah,
And then
that's weird.
it was like if you collected a full play set of like say Evolving Skies cards, obviously talking Pokemon here, you could then turn your digital cards into a full play set of IRL Evolving Sky cards.
I think that's cool. Like, I mean, I don't know if I'd want that because that means then you're spending a lot online. Actually, I probably wouldn't want that, but I feel like that would get people into the game. That would get at some point I want to talk about like not necessarily not today, but I feel
Yeah.
like the way that collectors obviously interact with Pokemon and then players,
Hmm.
that would kind of get them together. Because if you could play the game and then get like okay, well, I'm
Actual
assuming that
cards.
the set, like the Pokemon cards, would be worth much more than the Magic cards, because I'm assuming that's true. But
I
still, that'd
think,
be
yeah. I
like
mean,
cool
obviously,
to get
Pokemon's a big
collectors into
collecting thing.
players.
Yeah, and also with the old uh Magic Online, you could there was like you could pay a monthly fee and then you had access to all the cards. You paid like $10 a month and you got all access to all the cards,
Yeah, and
which
I
was
think
an
that's
interesting way to
pretty
work it.
cool. I definitely am worried that if Pokemon monetized live, that it would be inaccessible to um free to play players. Right now, I think the only thing good about live is the economy, and
Mhm.
if they've ruined that, then there isn't
Right.
anything.
The account as a free to play player, you have access. I mean, PTGO was okay for free to play. It's
I'd
really
say it was
easy to
bad.
get.
I'd say it wasn't like you couldn't get the new cards. You couldn't
Yeah,
get the
but
good new cards.
and I'm going to talk about Arena for a minute because and it shows the downside to monetization. But first, that list of ranking the stuff. Then the last card game is live on the list, and its ranking today is 2.6.
That's
So
a
out of
substantial
5.
step up from what it's been. Actually, it's not that much. I don't know. I think it depends on the person.
So
It's
you
been
have
like lower.
4.6 to 4.1 to Hearthstone, 2.6, and it's been downloaded a million plus times
Live.
on Google Play. Live has,
Oh,
yeah.
that's not that many.
Where the others were 5 million. Now
I
it's
mean, it is
been
the
around.
newest. Or the yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's also not good, right? I think it's fair
Yeah.
to say. And it
Mhm.
probably should have a warning. Your phone might melt when you play it, right?
Yeah, I had like I'm using I got like a new phone that is like not good. My phone broke, so I have to like get this one that is not the best.
It's my old phone. I
Yeah.
just which so it's like 6 years old
Yeah, and
or
I'm
something.
not going to download live on it. Because I'm nervous
No,
that like it might, because the phone gets hot naturally. I'm like actually nervous that the phone would like explode
it
or like
could
break or something. Not like
wreck.
explode, but like
Yeah,
actually, not like, I don't know if I'd say actually melt, but kind of. I'm not gonna download live on it.
it could ruin the phone. I mean, I'm trying to run live on an old
Yeah,
phone,
which
I
is like
think so.
absurd. Like that like shouldn't be even like feasible. Like it's what, like how did
Right.
they manage to do this? Um, one thing,
So
do you want to talk about something specific
let me
or?
talk about it just on Arena for a second here. I loaded up on, if you're watching my video, you can see it, but I like they have the in-game store. So the thing is, you can succeed as a free-to-play person to an extent, but they really want you to spend money, and they have. But and it seemed like Live was kind of set up with this because they have two currencies, gold coins and gems, and the gold coins are mostly in the game for the free stuff that you get through grinding the game, and the gems for the most part you have to buy. You buy gems, and this is what they say microtransactions. It sounds small, but yes, you can buy 750 gems for $5, but then you can buy 20,000 gems for $100, and
And what does
$100.
that like get you?
So if you spend $100, which gets you the best deal, you have to, well,
Like how
one of
many
the things
cards?
is
Like,
the battle pass. Like the battle pass, they have two battle passes to get the in the basic one. Every other tier is nothing on the free one. Okay, you get a pack and then nothing, and a pack and nothing. Whereas you get something every tier in the pay one, but you have to pay 3,400 gems,
which
which would
is
cost you, so 3,400. Look at the store, and I think it's like sorry, as I click over, it's $20.
okay. So, and how long is that?
It's like 3 months, I think.
Okay, and then
And
and
therefore you get a lot more packs as you progress up the ladder.
yeah, and how much would that like get, like how much would it take to essentially be able to play everything in Magic? Do you know?
To get every, I don't know, there's a lot potentially to do.
Yeah,
I
like
mean,
hundreds
part
of
of it is
dollars. Like how much a
I
year? Like
think
to
so. Plus, they run events. Now, part of it is because they monetize. You get a lot of formats. Magic has more formats anyway, but Arena has a lot, and they actually have tournaments with prize money run in Arena too, which is kind of nice if you want to do that. But they have draft styles and stuff. But what was I saying? So, but within this master pass, like which is like the same thing as the battle pass, you have to play a bunch of games every day to finish it. Like people complain about you finish the battle pass, you don't get much, which is true after for like a month of getting nothing. You have to really grind in arena to finish the battle pass or the master pass every time, which I don't like that either, right? There's a lot of pressure to put time in to get everything.
yeah,
So,
I guess. But I think it's better. I don't know.
and
I
they
see why
and
they
they
do it.
have different formats of stuff, different like tournaments against other players, which is pretty neat. Um, and but some of them, but again, you need gems or coins to get into these different events. And some are draft events, which I think is a lot of fun. But like this draft event, well, it's 750 coins, gems. I mean, so it's what, a couple dollars, right? But if you keep doing that, a couple times, it quickly adds up too.
Yeah,
So,
so
so,
I feel like
so
that's
they give you options,
interesting.
but you're paying a lot. Look, you look in the game, it's very nicely done. They communicate with the fans. I do some arena. The arena community complain that the company doesn't communicate it a lot, but compared to Pokemon, they communicate a lot more.
Yeah, Pokemon doesn't
Um,
like do do much. They can just I don't, yeah, I don't know what they do.
so looking like under the events page, there's 17 events I could choose from right now, which is and I don't even know how all these formats are, quite frankly, really. I only do a little bit of Magic, but it's nice. You have a lot of options, and they have every week a free event of a different type that you get to try out if you want to. So it's got nice things, but it's highly monetized. You're probably paying, if you want to have access to a lot of stuff, at least $50 to $100 probably every new expansion comes out, which is similar to Pokemon, I think 4 times a year.
Yeah, okay. So I don't, that's kind of, I don't know how I feel about that because
But if Pokemon does that, we could have a really good game like Arena but for Pokemon, which would
Yeah,
be nice, right?
yeah,
But I don't want to see it that monetized. I
yeah.
will
And now
say.
I also want to talk about Marvel Snap, um,
Yep.
which I played more.
Right.
One thing about Marvel Snap that's more similar to Pokemon, I actually don't have it installed on my computer. I did. It's so there's a lot of stuff to talk about Marvel Snap, and Marvel Snap found success. I think it like very clearly found success very
Yes.
quickly. Um, it's kind of comparable in its time frame to Live, I think. Um,
Yeah, I think was it a little certainly before it came out before the beta became global. I think Snap a little bit. I
yeah.
could be wrong though,
Mhm. Yeah, and
but
then
but it was a good product from day
yeah. Or
one,
wait, no, I
and
think it was
obviously,
it was. I don't remember the timeline. But yeah. So Marvel
okay.
Snap, as you said, well, Marvel Snap, as you said, it's good, or it was good.
Yeah.
I think it's the hype's like died down, but um,
Okay.
it's pretty interesting that it saw a lot of success. As you said, it made a lot of money as well.
Hmm.
Was very heavily
Yep.
monetized, but Pokemon cards are very expensive. The physical cards are expensive, and that's where it's more
Yes.
similar to Pokemon than Magic is. Magic, the characters. Okay, maybe I'm a hater, but I feel like the characters are really boring in Magic. Um, I know there's like lore and stuff, but nowhere near the level of Pokemon, and certainly nowhere near the level of Marvel. Um, so Marvel
Hmm.
has this brand
Yeah.
recognition, um,
Recognition. Yeah.
and then and that means that like they're able to sell this stuff and make lots of money. And then the game is
Yeah.
there's not a difference between collectors and players. It's all kind of one, which is cool. That's something I like. There's the
Hmm.
Pokemon community is very split, and I think other communities are split as
Yeah.
well. Um, and so you do need to spend a lot. I don't know if you need, I don't know exactly how the economy works, but it's also a mobile game, so um,
Right.
that's good. I mean, that's for a company that's better. That's why like Pokemon wanted to make live a mobile game.
Yeah.
And they did, I guess.
Well, as long as your phone can work, but it kind of looked. It's largely had the aesthetics of a game that was designed to fit on a phone screen, and then just made it big with lots of blank hexagons around the edges on the computer.
On live.
Yeah, on
Yeah,
live.
I think now on the computer it looks okay.
Yeah, they've improved it a lot. Yes.
Mhm. But yeah, so I thought you were gonna say that for Marvel Snap, and I was like, yeah, Marvel Snap's like designed for the phone. Um,
Right. Yeah, I mean, I've done Snap on the phone. Don't have any interest in doing it on the computer. Right. It's designed to sit on the phone for just a few minutes at a
yeah,
shot.
and that's where fundamentally Pokemon can't work on mobile because uh,
Right.
it takes too long and there's too much stuff going on that quite frankly isn't that interesting. I mean, it's kind of interesting, and obviously I find it like you and I find it interesting. But
Hmm.
even like every single action, I don't care about every single action in the Pokemon game. Sure, playing Professor's Research is very impactful, but it's not like that exciting. Um, and it's not like, oh wow, I'm so excited to watch someone play Professor's Research. Versus Marvel
Yeah.
Snap, you only have like you only have 12 cards, and so it's like
Right.
each card is like more impactful,
Hmm.
and you only have 6 turns. You have exactly 6 turns. Actually, I
Right.
think there's a card that changed it, but like it's very set. It's like, okay, you're gonna play for I think it's like 3 minutes or that would sound about right. Maybe five.
Yeah.
This is Pokemon is longer. Um, even live, which
Hmm.
is faster than IRL, which I think is a very big aspect. And this live is faster than the simulators, and that's what makes it better. Um,
Yeah.
but even then, it's still kind of slow.
Hmm.
Especially with especially because as I said, I'm the next generation from you, or I don't know how generations work, but um, I'm Gen Z. I'm a Zoomer. I have a short attention span, and live doesn't keep up with that. So I'm usually
Yeah.
sometimes I'll admit. Actually, no, I don't really do this, but I'll like be like watching a YouTube video or doing something like kind of in the background or live as the background or something else, and then it's kind of
Yeah.
weird because you have your turn, and your turn is
Hmm.
like you're doing stuff, then your opponent's turn, and on your opponent's turn you're like not really doing anything, which is kind of weird.
Right.
And Marvel Snap is made for like a modern audience.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and it was obviously right. I mean, Pokemon was designed to be a TCG first, right? And then it became a computer game, which I think it works reasonably well there. But then as a phone game, it doesn't work well on a small screen. Um, I can play Arena on my phone, but I don't. Although Arena works pretty well on a tablet, and Pokemon doesn't work well on the tablet either. So,
Well, I think it works. What do you mean? Like,
well, it heats it up. It's okay. I actually find the dragging actions not great on the tablet, but maybe that's just me.
yeah, I don't know. I've
It's also still landscape, right? They haven't made it into. I mean, it's portrait. It's vertical. It's still not
uh,
sideways, right? On the
the
tab, I
mobile
think.
is. I don't know about tablet. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Um, PTGO that was playable on tablet, right?
Yeah, and
And
I
it's
had a
just
tablet that I could
weird
play
that it wasn't
PTCGO
playable
on,
on.
and then once
Um,
Live came out, it was just too recent. It wouldn't load, and eventually, they got it is they proved it could load, but still wasn't playable. Like it would get all glitchy in the middle of turns because it was just using too much resources. So,
yeah. Wait, what wouldn't?
Live was it was just too resource intensive for
Oh,
the tablet I had.
yeah. I think I've said this before. I think live
But
coming to the Switch would be super good. I don't know if it would solve all the problems, but I think it would solve a
yeah,
lot because
it,
the Switch gets a lot of attention by a lot of very dedicated
it's
Nintendo fans, and so if it's really
yeah,
really awful, um, people are gonna like
it
take
could be
notice.
better.
Huh?
Well,
Yeah.
here's I was going to say first off, I don't understand why it's not on the Switch, but then I think I answered it in my own mind why it's not because it is completely logical. It should be on the Switch. Why isn't it? And the only reason the one thing I can think of, because then it has to be available globally, including Japan. And Japan, and this is honestly part of why Live is bad. Japan doesn't have an online client. They didn't have PTCGO either. They have a condensed population, so people can find IRL games more. But so half of the Pokemon Corporation doesn't even touch the online client. That hurts it, right? But if it went to the Switch, it would have to be available to everyone with a Switch, I
Yeah, and
think,
quite
right?
frankly, the better half of like the main half of the Pokemon Corporation isn't like
Right.
touching it, which
It's
is weird.
where the game comes from, and I think they have a lot of power in what happens, right? There because they're the originators still. So yeah.
And so that dynamic's weird. Um, and I don't really know much about the Pokemon in Japan and how that works, and how
Mhm.
like like what the like how I don't know, just like I know it's different, right? The culture obviously, I mean
Mhm.
culture is different everywhere, but like um it's
Right. But
like
they have different.
Japan is like one area and then everyone else is another area, and it's kind of weird. Um,
Right. I mean, it's a little more than just Japan itself. I think the
yeah, it's more
region,
than Japan. It's a few
but
Asian
right.
nations
But most of
as well, I
Asia
believe.
is not in that region.
No, well,
But
okay,
some,
so Pokemon also has some weird stuff where like at least with in-person events,
mhm.
the areas like without Pokemon. So I don't know if
Yeah,
they're exactly without Pokemon, but they kind of are. Like I don't think in certain countries in Asia you can like get live.
I no, you can't. And in fact, I will say some of the stuff's weird because I posted a video. I do economy stuff on hey reminding people about signing up to get
Live
the
economy.
yeah live economy. Sorry, yeah, not the global economy or how to get more money in your pocket. Um, but you get those free packs when every set comes out. You just have to sign up for the marketing newsletters. And someone said, "Hey, I can't get it," but And they also said, "Hey, I have one box to check for the marketing, whereas I have two here in the United States." And they said, "Hey," ultimately it was like, "I think it's probably because I'm in another country, so I can't get those packs." And
No, that's
different countries
annoying.
have different things because remember they have like oh, remember the world's thing where you pick your team, right? Draft the world's thing, right? It was only like six countries or a dozen countries that you could do that competition in, whereas most of the countries, even that had players going to worlds,
Wait,
couldn't
what are
actually.
you, sorry, what are you talking about? I
Remember,
don't think we're,
there was a draft the worlds event
that was, no, that
for
was
Pokemon.
invitational.
No, no, no. There was a thing
Like the
we
fantasy
picked.
team.
The fantasy thing.
Yeah, that was thing. Oh, I didn't know that was only available in,
Only
um,
certain countries. And like, remember they had like a sign up where it was a lottery. It was just like a random lottery to win like a booster box and stuff. Remember at one point they had that. I don't know if you do.
I
You
mean, they
just
do
kind of
stuff like that
right. And if
periodically.
you look at it, the list of countries is like only like six countries or something can do it usually. We're just in one of the countries that usually always has it, but like most of
Yeah,
the world
like,
can't. Most countries in the world can't do these. It's very split up with what happens with what countries. It's part of it, obviously, international law gets weird too, right? So there's a
Yeah,
lot of weird things in different countries and regions.
yeah,
That was my
yeah,
point there.
yeah, and it's something that obviously we're not gonna like try on too much because we don't really know what we're talking about. But I don't know. I mean, everyone should be able to play Pokemon, right? I think that's something we both
Yeah,
agree on.
right. I mean, correct.
There
Yeah,
shouldn't be any
obviously
reason that shouldn't happen, right? I mean, it's Pokemon, right?
obviously there's legal issues,
Yeah,
right?
there are, but
That's part of it, and part of it is obviously like with kids too. And Pokemon is design. That's what like it's a game designed for children, right? That's the initial audience for the game, I would say, right?
yeah,
So, and that gets even more complicated with legally, right?
yeah,
So,
that's true.
you don't want to like not allow children to play the game either. I don't think.
Yeah,
So
and that's
you
also
know,
gets weird with like in-person events with age divisions.
yeah,
And then or even online events with age divisions. You get some weird stuff, but anyway,
yeah,
um, getting back to live, I think
yeah.
is there something specific you want to talk about or
No. We need to get back to live. We've obviously
yeah,
wandered too far. Did
yeah.
you have something or?
So I think that I didn't have anything off the top of my head. I forgot where I
All
was
right.
going.
I mean, the one question is, so live needs to get better. I think we would agree with that. I think our audience would agree with that too. How can it get better? I do have the question: can it get better without monetization? And obviously, I'm concerned with monetization that it becomes too much of a thing, right? Because one of the criticisms for other TCGs, digital TCGs that are monetized, is they play to win, right? And that there are games that I think have just
Pay to
been
win,
good
right?
pay to
Yeah.
win. Sorry, pay to win. And there's games that have kind of gotten destroyed where they lost their fan base because it came just overly monetized. That's obviously a big concern, but I'm not sure if it stays like it is, I'm not so sure that it's going to get too much better.
Yeah, well, and a few things from that pay to win aspect. So I'm gonna say I don't like games that are pay to win. I very much don't. And that's why I
Mhm.
really like live. Well, okay, I don't know. So PTCGO was kind of pay to win, in the worst possible way, in that Pokemon didn't get any money despite that, which is impressively bad. But
Yeah, for a company good at making money, that they missed out
yeah,
there.
like I don't know how you make a game pay to win that you don't make money. But anyway, um, and so they had that was an issue. But then like, um, but Pokemon, the video, or not the like IRL TCG is very pay
Hmm.
to win. You can make
It's
some,
very
yeah,
expensive. Yes.
you can make some arguments. Yeah, it's pay to play and it's also pay to win. I guess
Hmm.
there's a lot of weird stuff. Um,
Well, and the fact that just IRL wise, you need more points to qualify for Worlds from North America. That's largely because higher level of wealth in North America, right? And that lets more
and
people
honestly,
get the
like
more
craziness, like
tournaments.
people just spend in. I mean, I don't know. We were both American, so we
Yeah.
both like really mainly know Americans, but
Hmm.
Americans spend money on just spend like lots of money on like really silly stuff, including Pokemon. And Pokemon,
Right.
I love it, but it's kind of silly. Um, and I wouldn't spend. Eh, no, I don't know. I was gonna say I wouldn't spend absurd amounts of money. I haven't, but I'm not saying I wouldn't. But like I
Hmm.
don't know. It's just kind of like I think that's also why like Americans are willing to like spend all this money. Not like compared to other. I don't know if that's actually true or if I'm just like imagining things, but um, clearly Americans are willing to spend a lot of money on Pokemon.
Yeah, I mean, there are a number. Obviously, America's a large
The
population
North
base,
America, specifically
North
specifically
America,
U.S.
right?
and Canada, which is how Pokemon.
Which is yes, that's its own. Pokemon's regions don't exactly align with the way the rest of the world see things. North America, just Mexico's just not there. But
Yeah, although that is kind of how it's sometimes looked at, but it's kind of weird.
yeah,
Um,
but yeah. I mean, with PTC Geo, I think it wasn't pay to win necessarily, but it was pay for early access. You got the access to the cards quicker, right?
well, you got the access to the cards within 3 months. Like, you need to
Right.
wait till the next set comes out. So, for instance, so Arceus came out in Brilliant Stars, and the set after that
Hmm.
was Astral Radiance. Um,
Right.
so if I wanted to play Arceus when it came out and then Palkia when it came out, you'd need to spend some money,
Yeah.
probably, or like there are other things you could do, but they were difficult. And PTCG I think like crashed when new sets. It might not have crashed, but it had issues when new sets came out, as live does.
Oh,
Uh,
well, yeah, because of the whole trading thing, like that
yeah,
you had to like save up your event tickets if you remember, and then play the events that what you could win tradable packs in, and then you had to go in the server where you found trades with other people, which had some nice things, but there's a lot of scamming of new players, and then the server would get overwhelmed, especially with those early days of something, and it was a bit of a mess.
yeah. And so that was like awkward, but then so pretty much what it came down to was you couldn't get the new cards right away. You'd more or less need to wait till the next set. So I need to wait till Astral Radiance to play Arceus, which is around 3 months later.
Right, because
And
then
by then
Palkia
the
came out, and you couldn't afford Palkia at that point, but you can now afford Arceus.
yeah, and then that's like it is what it is. Um,
Right. Although, like when Mew came out, you probably you still couldn't afford Mew after the next set came out,
no, well,
probably.
yeah, you can because the new packs have like such inflated value compared to like
Yeah.
the previous packs. So you'd pretty much
Hmm.
have like you play a tournament, you just get like gold bars essentially. Like they're worth so much, but not. But then also the new cards are also worth absurd amounts. So like there are a
Right.
few things that are worth like absurd amounts, um, like for a short period of time. So anyway, but like the economy
Yeah.
was bad in my opinion. It was kind of pay to win or ish,
I.
which it wasn't great.
y- Yeah. If you were trying to put together like the top competitive decks to be ready, say for IRL events, you had to pay money because otherwise you weren't going to access the new cards right away.
Yeah. One thing I want to say is I don't think Pokemon or any other client or simulator for that matter should be prioritizing like testing for events. I feel like if you're like testing for events, that's just a small portion of players. Like a
Yeah.
I don't know what percent. I was gonna like say like make up some number like 0.1%, which could be right. That like could be right, but that could be like off as well. It could be like really far off. Um, but
Yeah. I think most players they're playing live just as a game to casually to relax in their spare time. I think that's how most people approach it. But most content creators and a lot of the attention is the competitive people.
yeah, that's something. I think that's something you should talk about some other time. I mean to talk
Okay.
about YouTube, right? The YouTube scene. I want to talk about that. But um,
Hmm.
and long story short, one other thing is Pokemon, and I guess the YouTube scene as well. It's not doing super great. It's not doing necessarily badly. Well, okay, right now it's actually doing kind of bad, but like um, or it's going to. I don't know.
The Pokemon YouTube scene isn't good.
Well, with Paldean Fates, it kind of got like hype, but it was really terrible. And it's caused like because there's usually like a 3 month cycle, and Paldean
Right.
Fates essentially like messed it around and like shoved it forward like a month,
Hmm.
which it means that um in like three
Well, because
months we're getting like not gonna have any content to make, but whatever.
this was a collector set. The weird thing about it is they pushed back, in a sense, they kind of pushed back the regular set by a month to give more time for Paldean Fates. I'm not sure how
Did
the
they?
schedule
You
got.
sure?
Well, normally you have 4 sets a year, right? So it's about
Yeah.
3 months a set. I think we had 3 months between what was
This is
before,
coming in. I don't know, but it's kind of stuff. Sets are
and
all
then we
kind of
have
like
2 more months.
shifted.
So I think we have 5 months between main sets now. I think.
5 months? Wait, when did Paradox Rift come out?
Now you're asking me
Yeah, okay,
questions.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
look.
I do have it written down here. Easy access. So Paradox Rift came out
Oh, November.
November 3rd. Temporal Forces will come out March 22nd.
Okay, so that's a decent amount of time.
So like a month and a half. So it's like an additional month and a half beyond 3 months.
Yeah, okay, but like sets are moved around, but I think, uh,
Yes, they shift
yeah,
around.
which is kind of annoying, but it doesn't. It's fine. Um, anyway, so Pallion Fates was bad. I think Pallion Fates is like hurting the YouTube scene, but anyway,
Yeah.
um, just a little.
Well,
It's
it's a
not a huge.
collector's set, right? Which is that whole weird part of the weird dynamic of collectors versus players.
Yeah. But then like I don't know, you kind of have to make content for the new set, but there wasn't really much to make.
No.
Anyway, that's a whole another discussion. But
I am working on my United Wings deck though, because the new Kilowattrel. So, something to get excited about.
yeah. But you should have done that like when it released.
I
Although
know,
you got
but
a big video recently, yeah, the cast swarm video,
I
which is
know,
my idea
exactly.
by the way. That was my idea. I don't know.
Which goes right against your, and that's old content if there ever was old content.
Well, it was with a new card though,
Yes, that's true. That's
which
true. The new
was
tool,
yeah.
which
Um,
is key. Yeah.
Anyway,
But
I think
anyway,
I think it's I think
so with
live has to like show improvement this year. That's my thought.
mhm.
Like if live isn't better this year, um, it's bad. We need to find some other solution.
Well, okay, so let me ask you this. All right, so it has to get better this year. So let me ask you, so does that mean it has to be as good as PTCGO or else?
I don't think it necessarily matters how good it is. It kind of does matter how good it
Well,
is, but
well, first it has to work, right? This year you can't not select cards,
I think we
right?
need to see signs that it's getting better,
Okay.
like distinct signs. And we've honestly this year's been okay for
It's
live.
yeah,
They mentioned the battle lot, which was at the end of last year, but
right.
it was pretty much this year.
Well, the game
Um,
got better last year, right? Last calendar year, live did improve, but
it
it was
improved a
garbage.
little bit.
It was horrible at the start of the year,
Um,
though. So it went to just
I
not but so
guess
good
it was
at
pretty
the end.
terrible. I wouldn't say like it actually feels like better. I mean, it is better, but I wouldn't say morale's high. I'd say we'll know if lives made that like jump.
Hmm.
It's not gonna they're not gonna like suddenly change it into something really good or even like good enough. I think Pokemon will start embracing it. They'll start embracing live, um, which they
Hmm.
haven't done like at all, right? They clearly don't really care that much and don't really aren't proud of what they've made here. And
Right.
so
Well,
I think we'll know. I think Pokemon will start showing signs, and the community might, but I think Pokemon themselves definitely will if live is the future.
yeah. I mean, Pokemon never was excited about PTCGO either, right? But I guess the thought was that was a different third party was running was put. You know, they're just paying someone else to do it. So this is their own baby, so they should care about it more, right?
Yeah, and they were proud of it before it came out. Like they were kind of hyping it up and
Yes.
stuff, and they stopped, which isn't a good sign, right? If you're a company, you should be
Right.
excited for your own stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's the question. So if live doesn't get better, what are you going to do, right? And I don't know the answer. Is that mean at some point you just stop playing Pokemon online?
I think it's the simulator. I think Pokemon TCG Simulator is so far the only thing we've seen
Mhm.
that can fill that. We have seen things like it, but I
Well,
think PT like there's TCG one that gets talked about a lot. Like every
mhm,
time I'm like Twin Leaf or Live or PCG Simulator, I feel like TCG one is it's fine, but I think it's only
mhm,
just fine. I think the Pokemon TCG Simulator has the potential to like become something really cool because it has this like I don't know like fan engagement. I don't know if that's the right term, but like
mhm.
people like it and its
Yeah.
future is looking good.
But net, there's two things that any simulator I don't think is ever going to do. One, it can't do all the actions automatically. I think if you automate everything, you do run legal risks for one thing,
I don't know. I feel like
and it's a lot
Pokemon.
harder to do
I
too.
think it's hard to do. I think the legal issue isn't something. I don't know. It's not something I am worried about too much. Or if it is, it's drama, which is always good for YouTube. Which is
Well,
I'm
it's
kind of joking, but I'm kind of true as well. I'd rather
right.
someone. The thing I've disliked about like for the most part, I think Twin Leaf has been. I haven't said great things. I've said some good things about it and some like not so great things about it. But the
Hmm.
big issue is that they're not like willing to step out there and like try almost like they're not
Hmm.
pushing the boundaries. And I don't know. I feel like, as I said, they're almost like scared to do it, and like that's not good, right? That's not gonna end up with something
Hmm.
great. If you're like just doing, I mean, maybe in like 10 years, but if you're not
Hmm.
pushing the boundaries, you're not gonna get anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, well, look for. I mean, the Twin Leaf. The big thing is it's been a lot. It's been a hype, but no product at all so far. So which is obviously disappointing. But look, I don't. I think there's issues with automating the actions, and if they're not automated, it's not going to be the same, right?
Well, I think it could. Well, there's two things. One, um, in-person play isn't automated, right? And in-person play is
Correct.
popular. Um,
Yes.
So I think it could be like without automation, but I think there's the possibility that something like the Pokemon TCG Simulator could get automated. It's obviously a lot of work, but
Hmm.
right now one person is
Right.
creating
Doing.
something and it's not automated, but it's receiving
You could get a team.
yeah, they could
You
get
also
it.
got. You have to update constantly, and obviously, every new mechanic is gonna, make life difficult.
That's
But the
true,
other
but it
thing,
could happen. I think it's definitely feasible if like
maybe.
because people want something, so people would work
Hmm.
to get something good. Like
Here's the other thing, though. I don't think it's ever going to do. This is the thing that Twin Leaf said. Well, I'm not sure if they do this in the full blown version or not, but auto pairing, right? You want to sit down, and I don't want to have to find out someone on Discord, or I just want to click in and be paired up against someone that's hopeful, and ideally with some good pairing system that's hopefully my level.
Yeah, I will say Live's pairing system is not that good. It's fine, but it's not
Yeah,
the best.
but you want to be able to pair in, right? Because
Yeah, no, I
especially
think that
if
can
you want to
happen. I think
relax,
that's
you want
pretty
to
doable. I
pair in
think I've
automated actions.
I've heard some stuff from Shasha Long, the
Mm-hmm.
dev of PTC Simulator. I think
Yeah.
that could happen. I think that's
Really?
doable.
Okay.
I
Well,
don't
that
know
would
if
be
it's super like. Well, okay, no, I think they said they could have some like account feature or something. I don't know. They're kind
okay.
of weird about it. They didn't really say a ton about it.
Mm,
And it's not something they're
okay.
currently like looking into, but I think it's something that
Yeah.
because there are room codes, right? So you
Mm-hmm.
could create it not necessarily with an ELO pairing system.
Just you get a
Um,
random room assignment. You're in room 22,
yeah, which I think
basically,
isn't
when you
necessarily that
click in.
hard to do. Now like because there already are rooms, so you could just
Mm-hmm.
like stick someone into a room, right? Um,
You could. Now, as something becomes more popular, I don't know all the ins and outs, but you need more. Your server load gets bigger, right? And also costs increase. So
that's
that's its
true.
own
I
issue.
think uh, uh
And maybe
there
you could
yeah.
take some donations or something.
Yeah, they're taking donations right
Offset
now
that.
for that. So I don't know how much. I have no idea how much they've made, but yeah,
Hmm.
they made some.
But look, if whatever simulator's out there, even if it's better, even if it's all that you would want for say live to be, the game's not going to grow that much. You're going to get current Pokemon people playing it, but if you're a new person looking, you're going to go to Legends of Runeterra, Hearthstone, Arena, Yu-Gi-Oh, Snap, any of those first, right?
Well, no, because it's
Pokemon
Pokemon.
Online's not going to
It's no,
grow.
but it's Pokemon, right? So
If you're
someone would
already a
go to
TCG
Pokemon. No,
player,
if you're
if you're an IRL TCG player, I think.
no, I think if you're well, but everyone knows not everyone, but like a lot of people know Pokemon, and so they're gonna be like,
Yeah.
oh, there's Pokemon, and oh, I've heard that Pokemon's good, and then they'll go to. I don't think it won't necessarily have that same level of like growth, especially from people who don't really
Hmm.
care that much, which is a little unfortunate. But
Yeah.
I don't think it wouldn't like grow. I think if there's something
Okay.
really good, it could grow.
All right. I mean, look, Pokemon's not just about. Well, obviously, they're more than the card game, which it complicates things as to where that fits in. But they're not just about collectors, we know, because they put a lot of energy into IRL play, which has grown hugely, and Pokemon, I think, is very proud of that, and they are encouraging that to grow. I believe so. They care about the TCG. They need to put some of that care into the online client.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't necessarily love with the IRL tournaments either. I don't like pay to win stuff. So,
No, but look, but part of it is being able to compete, right? I mean that's part. The online client, I think, is better off by having the IRL scene, and I think vice versa. Hopefully, they should feed each other, right? Is
yeah, I
what I
don't
would
think
think.
they necessarily do much. I think I think it might do it some. I think it could be. I think they could also function separately, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Um, Previously,
Well,
like I don't know. I think they're very intertwined right now, and
mhm.
I don't know if that necessarily means that they feed each other, but they're intertwined, which is something. I don't know if it's good or it's bad, but yeah,
I mean, there should be a large population of people that are just playing the online client as an
yeah,
online client.
yeah,
I would say.
yeah. That's why I stand as well. But do you
Yeah.
think that that's it for this episode?
Yeah, I think so. And so, on a score of 1 to 10 by the end of this year, how good's live going to be?
Well, I'm 10 type, so 10. No. I
Oh, yeah.
no. I think it's gonna be. I don't think it's gonna succeed. I think it's gonna be at like a 3. Um,
Three.
maybe one to
Ouch. All right.
10, or no, maybe a 4. I don't know if it.
All right.
Yeah,
And obviously, it's subjective how it is. I'll say a 7. I think it will see some
yeah.
significant
What do
improvement.
you think it's at now as well?
Hmm. Well, see, for you and I, when we sit down on computers, it works pretty consistently,
I
right?
guess.
And I don't have glitches. I honestly can select my cards most of the time and stuff.
Well,
And I
that's
don't
not
play
like
lost.
that impressive. Like, oh,
Oh,
I
I
didn't like.
understand.
It's like
No,
going to
it
work
does
and
the
say like, oh, I
minimum
didn't
of.
like die today. It's like, well, that's
Yeah,
good, but like,
I think
you
it's like
know.
a 5.
Okay, I'd
It's a 4
say
or
right
5 now,
now, I'd say it's a 3 now, and I'll go up to a 4 maybe,
up
something
to
like
a
that.
4. Okay.
I think it's won't. I think it's pretty not good now. It's not the worst, but it's not inspiring right now.
All
We
right.
didn't talk about the
Here's what
battle log thing. That's like a thing, but
he,
there's not really too
so
much to
here's
say
what
about
Live's
that.
going to have by the end of the year. I'll lay it on the line. Live is going to basically all the glitches will be worked out. It
Yeah.
will have full expanded,
Yep.
which
Hmm.
will mean GLC.
Yep.
No, they're not going to add its own GLC
Wow.
format, but they'll have full expanded and they'll have a log by the end of this
Like, do
year.
you actually think
And
these things are gonna happen?
I'm hoping, and
Oh,
they're going to go, and they're going to they need to do something new. They need to do something new. So they're going to allow me to give a checkbox next to a box, a deck style like sleeve and deck box and coin that it could be my default. So I don't have to select it every time. And
oh
that's
yeah,
just
my
and that
decks. Wait, you change it? Mine are all the regular one because I don't
no,
change it because it's annoying.
I like the little executor coin with the palm tree. So I use the summer because it's got palm trees on it. So it's a little theme there.
Okay.
So
Um.
that's what I do.
Yeah. No, that would be
Ex-
useful, I guess.
I mean, it's
Um.
a small thing, but honestly, a small ask like that is like a big deal right
You
now.
sure you don't want like more stars on the coin flip?
I do. I mean, look, I want to be able to say when I import a deck, can I have four judge of a style I own,
Yeah, that
please?
would be useful.
Why
Yeah.
can't I should be able to say this is the style judge art. See, that's with Arena, and I know you'd have to pay like hundreds of dollars a year if you want to play it to an extent, but you can do all these. I want this style of this card and this style of this card by default. And it does it when you import things and all, which is nice, right? And it's not.
Yeah.
It's a digital world. It's not that hard to do, right?
No. I'll say. Well, it shouldn't be. I'll say the things I want. I think it'll have. I'll say it will have GLC as its own format. A GLC
Wow.
ladder. No, I don't think it's gonna. I think it's
Rank
not
GLC.
impossible. Yeah, ranked TLC. No, I don't think it'll happen, but that would be cool, I
It
guess.
would.
And then
They need to have standard expanded, and they need another format as well. I think.
yeah, I think it'll have. Um, I think they're gonna like bring back Legacy, or I think they're like I could see them bringing back Legacy, which is like such a stupid idea. Like, but I think they could like do it, because they like always find the wrong thing to do.
You might, yeah.
No, and then they're gonna. I think they're going to. I think they're gonna like run a tournament. They're gonna be like, we finally got live working. They're gonna like run a tournament on it. It's gonna go
Mm.
like super bad.
Oh, like they did the Players Cup, right? I
Yeah,
mean
yeah.
the like that,
Team
so
challenge. Yeah,
everyone
except the
can
team
play it.
challenge, right? The team challenge was bad. Like the Players Cup was
Well, the
weird.
Players Cup was funny because the Players Cup was started before Live, but then Live came out. And they're like, but you can't use Live for Players Cup. If
Oh
you
yeah.
migrate,
No, I think
you're
what's
kicked
that?
out of the
Okay.
Players Cup
No, it was
even
the
because
team
they knew it
challenge,
was
I
that
think.
bad. The Team Challenge. I'm sorry. Yeah, if you migrate during Team Challenge, you're like kicked out of the tournament. So
Yeah,
that wasn't a good
yeah. But
sign
the
for
team challenge
confidence.
was pretty not good. Um,
Yeah,
I think that
I think
it
the
was.
Players Cup was okay though.
Yeah, I think the Players Cup was okay. I think there's a little weird, but the team challenge. So they're gonna have something. It's gonna be like the team challenge, where it's like not gonna work right
Okay.
because people like kept crashing during the team challenge. I don't know if you saw it, but they kept like crashing out of their games, and then like half the games like just ended in like a game loss because they crashed.
Oh, the
Um,
ones that were shown online.
yeah,
I saw some of that.
yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't see that many. I saw like a game and a half, but it was pretty unwatchable because they just crashed. So so that's
Yeah.
gonna happen, and then they're going to give up, and then they'll just like it'll go back to this.
Well, see, it's going to be like this, or they're going to start to monetize, and what they're going to do, and then maybe it's good. You're going to be able to get some CP towards worlds from online events.
Maybe. Yeah.
But see, I think they're going to have to go one way or the other. I think it's going to be free and just kind of stagnate, or they're going to have to just
Yeah.
embrace it and make it more.
Yeah.
So
But I don't know. I'm looking forward to seeing what live does. I think it's gonna be. I think this year is like the. I don't know if I'd say it's the most important year, but I think this is. Do you think that if live is like pretty underwhelming this year, it'll still have hope?
if it doesn't get, I think I think this is a year that live just stagnates. I don't think it has a future unless at some point then they say, okay, we're going to pump money in and start charging money, which could make it worse too. But yeah, if it doesn't get better this year, we're in a lot of trouble with the online client just going forward indefinitely, probably. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, we hope you enjoyed the podcast. subscribe to our channels on YouTube, 10 Types and Uncommon Fossil.
Yep.
And also you can check us out on any podcasting platform. But the best way to contact us will be through YouTube comments. I do have a Discord server as well, but it's hard to find because YouTube. So, but we're interested in hearing your thoughts on live and what it'll do going
Yep.
forward.
Yeah, make
And
your prediction.
mhm. And how many out of 10 will it be? Um, and then, yeah, we just hope you enjoyed, and we're excited to see you next time.
Take care.